Hi guys, welcome back to our channel, or if you're new, thanks for tuning in. So today's video is just gonna be me. So Nems and Ethan have gone out for the day and I thought it's time to do my own video. I haven't done one in such a long time, but I have good reason. So I've been a bit MIA. It's because I have had some things to deal with emotionally and personally, and so today's video is going to be about sharing my story of what's happened in the past 6 months. And it's something that I really contemplated not sharing, but after speaking to a lot of my friends, I feel like I should share my story, because I know there's a lot of other women out there going through what I'm going through. And I know there's like a stigma around this kind of thing where, you know, women don't really talk about it because of, you know, they feel a sense of failure, or they feel like they've done something, or a sense of shame, which there isn't. So I just thought, you know, after speaking to a lot of my friends and finding out they've gone through the same thing, I thought I'd share my story just to, you know, just to help anyone else, or just to talk about it with anybody else that's listening, that, you know, is going through the same thing, just to know that you're not alone. And a lot of us women go through this. So anyway, so I'll go through the video now, and I'm sorry in advance if I cry. I'll try my best not to, but it is a very sad story. So yeah, let's get into it.
Good strength at the end.
Today I'm going to be doing a fashion haul. So I'm going to start by saying I was pregnant end of last year, and Nems and I were super happy that we were going to be giving Ethan a sibling and that we were growing our little family. Everything was going fine. Pregnancy was fine, first month was fine, and then once it hit the second month, I got very bad morning sickness. So it was about mid second month, and I never had that with Ethan. So with Ethan I had a little bit, but it wasn't anything to be, you know, to be like alarmed about. Like, it wasn't like what I had. So what I had was like pretty much bedridden. I couldn't really move, I couldn't do much, I was always sick, I was dizzy when I got up, I couldn't eat anything, I couldn't really look after Ethan properly. I can just do the basic things like feed him, change his nappy, and change his clothes, and that's about it. It was extremely hard. I just, you know, I just don't know how I did it, to be honest. I don't have family here or very close friends, so it was, you know, I can't just call up my mum or my brothers or my best friend and be like, hey, can you come and help me? It's impossible. So they're on the other side of the world, and Nems is always at work, so, you know, it's difficult for him knowing that I'm suffering at home trying to get through morning sickness and look after a child. And hey, I know a lot of women do it, and it's just something that you've just got to do. So, you know, and I just had to do that. And so yeah, on top of that, I think it was the end of the third month. So I was coming to the final days of the third month, and I became really ill, really sick. And mind you, I didn't leave the house for like a month and a half. I didn't speak to anyone like face to face. I didn't communicate pretty much with anyone like physically. So I don't know how I got sick. Nems always gets tested all the time for work, so I don't know how I got sick. Just woke up one day and I was extremely ill. I pretty much had COVID symptoms, but I didn't have COVID. So I just can't explain it. It was so bad that I have never felt like that ever. So by this time the morning sickness had subsided, and I had a fever, I had cold chills, I was super cold, like, I don't know, like, I just kept putting blankets on me because I was so cold. I couldn't eat, I couldn't taste anything, and on top of it, I had this extreme bad cough. Like, this cough was so bad, it was like within my body, like, I don't know how to describe it. It wasn't like a chest cough at all. It was like when I coughed, my whole insides moved. So it was, yeah, it was like I would have really bad coughing attacks, and I've never experienced that before. I've had a cough, you know, throughout my life, but it wasn't like this. And so one morning, I think it was maybe the third day I was sick, I went to sit up to cough, because when you cough lying down, it's really uncomfortable. And so I sat up to cough, and I felt my water broke. Not all of it, but a little bit. And I know what that feeling's like, because when I had Ethan, my water had broken with Ethan, and that was a big gush. This was a big gush, but not to that extent. Maybe half of it. But I just knew something wasn't right. So I went to the bathroom and I checked, and I had a little bit of blood. It wasn't extreme, it wasn't like too bad or anything, but it was just a little bit of blood. So maybe I thought, okay, I coughed and I peed myself, because it happens, especially when you're pregnant. And a little bit of blood came out because I'm a bit sick. But anyway, because I was a bit worried thinking about it, then I was a bit worried. So I told Nems, you know, just in case, just to be precautious, let's go to the hospital and let's get me checked out, because, you know, I don't know if my water actually did break, like, because it wasn't like a full water, it was just, you know, enough like a big pee. So we got ready and we went to the hospital and went to the emergency, and it wasn't too much of a wait as I thought. I thought it'd be a much longer wait. Maybe it was a half an hour. And then I was seen by the nurses in the checkup room, and the nurses were really nice. They you know, asked me questions, they took my blood pressure, and then they called the doctor to ask if I can get a scan, just to check if everything was okay. And they also tested me for COVID, and I didn't have COVID because of the symptoms that I had. They just wanted to be sure that I didn't have COVID. So they called the doctor, and the doctor said, sorry, no, because of COVID, we can't do the scan. I'm sorry, but really? You can't scan someone because of COVID? They just tested me. I didn't have COVID. It was so frustrating. And even the nurse was really upset. She was like, she doesn't understand, like, she doesn't get it. And then the doctor told her to get me to book an appointment. And my appointment was the following week on a Wednesday, and I was in the hospital already the Friday. So can you just imagine me waiting that long? Like, it's ridiculous. Ideally, you would think they would scan me, and then to find out if there's anything wrong with the baby, and if there is, then, you know, they can tell me there's nothing much more we could do but to remove the baby. So obviously, if that was gonna happen, then they would put me under anesthetic and then remove the baby. But instead, they sent me home and said everything's fine, which deep down inside, I knew everything wasn't fine. If I had the scan, I would have been like, okay, everything's fine, and saw it for myself, but no. So I went home, still felt really ill. By that time, I think it was like late. I think it was like 1 o'clock in the morning. And then the next morning I'd woken up and I went to cough again. I sat up and I went to cough, and then I felt kind of like fluid, but thick fluid. So I went to the bathroom and I went to the toilet. And that's when I lost the baby. It was pretty formed already, and almost maybe the size of my hand. And it was a boy. So there was a lot of blood, a lot of blood. I just kept bleeding so much. At first, you know, at first thought I was like, okay, that's normal, you know, that much blood. Then we called, you know, the NHS and spoke to a doctor on the phone, and they said, you know, are you bleeding a certain amount, large amount? And I said, no, it's maybe a cupful. And they said, okay, if it gets more, then go to the emergency. So all right, so then yeah, then within the hour it got to a lot of blood, like a lot, like I couldn't stop it from coming out. And I tried to have a shower, it just made it worse. It just kept coming. And then so I said to Nems, no, we've got to go, like I can't even wash myself off, it just won't stop, and we've got to go to the hospital. So we went to the hospital, went to the same emergency, and because Nems had Ethan, I preferred him to stay in the car because you know, there was too many people in the emergency and I didn't want Ethan to get COVID or get sick. So and Nems too, I just wanted them to be safe. So I got out of the car and I just felt this big rush of blood just pouring down my legs. Luckily I had tracksuit pants on, black tracksuit pants on, because I could just feel so much blood. And as soon as I walked up the stairs to go in the door to go to the front desk, I went to line up and I had to wear a mask, and by this time I struggled to breathe. And I'd seen like a nurse on the side talking to a patient, and I just went up to her in the middle of the conversation and I just told her, look, I think I'm gonna faint, I need to lie down and I've just lost a lot of blood. So she hurried me into one of the checkup rooms, and assessment rooms I think they're called, and told me to sit down and told me to wait in the room and someone will be with me soon. So I sat there and I was thinking, why am I sitting? I don't think she realizes that I was bleeding that much because I had black pants on, but I was bleeding a lot. It was coming down the chair, that's how much I was bleeding. So no one came for about 20 minutes to a half an hour, and so by this time I was feeling very faint, very faint, and I pretty much hobbled my way over to the bed and laid down. I couldn't even put it down because I didn't know how to put the head part down, and I just laid on the other half of the bed curled up because I was very cold and wet. And I'd laid there just thinking, where are these people? Where are the nurses? Why isn't anyone coming to help me? And luckily the nurse that assisted me into the room, I think she was like a training nurse, like she wasn't like, she didn't fully know what she was doing, but she had come back into the room and said, I've given your details to the front desk, because I told her I was there the night before and this was my name. Given my details, she'd given the details to the front desk, and she said, okay, if you need anything, just press this emergency button and someone will come straight to you. She said someone should be here soon to see you. And I waited and waited and waited, and no one came. No one. So I messaged NEMS. No one's coming. I think they've just left me to bleed out here. I'll just have a look at my messages. So the last message I wrote to NEMS was, I said, I think I'll just bleed out in this bed. No one has come to see me. And then NEMS told me, can you please ring the emergency bell? So I did. And the nurses came in, and one of the nurses said to me, has anyone come to see you? I said, no, no one's come to see me. And she's just like, what? Who put you in this room? And then I don't know who put me in the room. I just described how she looked like. And she was furious, because by this time I was laying in a pool of blood and it was like all over the bed. And I was already shaking. I was getting blurry. I was feeling dizzy, very lightheaded, and very cold. So another nurse came and he took my blood pressure, and then he asked if I needed help to get changed. And you know, like, as a woman, as a female, you're just kind of like, it's okay, I'll do it myself, because it's a male. I didn't really feel comfortable with him seeing me stripped down. So I said, no, it's fine, I'll do it myself. I don't know why I said that, because at this time I had no energy at all. And then so anyway, he put the curtain over, gave me what I needed to get changed into, and then he said, just ring the bell when you're ready. And I said, okay, no worries, I will. And then so I stood up and tried to take my clothes off, like my pants off, my shoes off, which I was successful in doing. I was able to take my shoes off, my socks off, and my pants. But then when it came time to wiping the blood off my legs with the wipes that they had given me, that's when I just stopped, and I couldn't feel my hands anymore. I was going numb, like I couldn't feel anything. And so I just stopped, and I pressed the emergency bell, and another nurse came in, and then she saw me, and I said to her, I can't do it. I can't feel anything. I can't feel my hands. I can't do it. And then they just rushed me. They just said, don't worry about it. They said, we're not gonna have time to wipe you down, just throw the gown on. They put the gown on me. They put me on to the bed, and one of the nurses said to the other nurse, she's losing color. And I was finding it hard to breathe. I was gasping for air now, and I couldn't feel my hands or anything. I was going numb, and yeah, I just felt so weak, and I just had to close my eyes. And I just remember the bed being rushed into emergency, and the nurse telling everyone to move out of the way. And then I got into emergency, and straight away I had a nurse introduce herself to me, and she tried to put the catheter in my arm, and in my right arm, and she just was just saying unsuccessful, unsuccessful, unsuccessful. And I was just like, what do you mean unsuccessful? In my head I was like, you have to be successful, you have to get it into my arm, like keep trying. And then the next minute a doctor came in and introduced herself to me, and she tried to put the catheter in my other arm. And while this was happening, the other nurse that had tried to put the catheter in my right arm said, you know, she kept asking me questions, and I was like, why is she asking me questions? I think it was her or another nurse, I can't remember because my eyes were closed, but someone was asking me questions, and they kept asking me, what's your name, what's your date of birth, where do you live? And I was just like, why does she keep asking me these questions? Like, it's so annoying. Like, I was thinking, why do you keep asking me these questions? I've told you like 3 times, and then at the time I was getting so irritated because I had no energy. But thinking back on it, she was just trying to keep me awake, trying to keep me alive, like trying to keep me conscious. So, you know, she was just doing her job. And then anyway, so the doctor on my left arm, she was unsuccessful too. She said the same thing 3 times, 3-4 times, she couldn't do it. And then so I had another doctor come in and introduce himself and then try on my right arm again. By this time, I don't know how I even remember this, but by this time I was so weak and I had the oxygen mask on. I was like, because I had been gasping for air. And then the doctor, he said, oh, she's losing color. And I was thinking, how much more color can I lose? And then he was like, I think her heartbeat's low, her blood pressure's too high, we've got to get this in, keep trying. And so he tried. He couldn't get the catheter in. He tried like 3 times. And I was just thinking, oh my gosh, how many more times? You know, like, they have to get this in, they have to get this catheter in my arm, or else that's it for me. Like, this is it. I don't want to die this way. So I closed my eyes for a while because I was just like praying that, you know, I was just thinking, Nems and Ethan need me. I can't die like this. So I closed my eyes and just prayed. But when I opened them, the room was dark. That's when I knew, okay, if they don't get this last one in, that's it for me. By some miracle chance, the doctor on my left arm, she managed to put the catheter in my hand, but I felt it. Like, I was numb and I couldn't feel much of the other ones, but this one I really felt. She just like jammed it right up there, and I was just like, do what you need to do, I don't care, just, that's what she had to do, that's what she had to do. And she did. And she said, I think I've got it. And I was like, oh please, please Lord, I pray that you have it, because if not, that'll be it for me. So she waited a little bit, and then to success, she was like, we got it, you know, we've got it, it's in. And I was just thinking, oh my gosh, thank you Lord, thank you. I'm just thankful to be alive. I thought, okay, that's it, you know, they got blood into me, having a blood transfusion, I'm gonna be fine, I'm gonna be okay. I've got oxygen, I feel like I'm coming to. And then the gynecologist comes in. And I thought the worst was over. And then she comes in and she's like, I'm so sorry. Usually we have to perform this when you're under general anesthetic. But because of your severity of your situation and you've lost a lot of blood, we need to perform a DNC. So for those of you that don't know what a DNC is, it's like a an abortion. Horrible. Horrible thing to go through. Like, I'd already lost the baby, so I didn't have the baby there, but she had to like break the sac and clean out any of the you know, leftover fluids and things like that. And it's something that I never thought I'd have to go through, like, and being awake while getting it done. After that was done, I laid there for a while and just cried, because it was such a big ordeal, you know, like, it's not something that you can just get over. And a kind nurse that came to help clean me up, she said that I can call NEMS. So I called NEMS and I said, oh, did the front desk call you to notify you what happened? He said no. So again, I forgot to mention at the beginning, when I was in the waiting room, the examination room, the front desk lady forgot to put my details in the computer. That's why they forgot about me. And that's why no one knew I was lying there bleeding out. And then when I finished the procedures that I had to go through, the front desk lady didn't even call NEMS to notify her of what happened. You know, human error can kill people. It just gets to me so much. You know, medically, you can't make a human error like that, to leave someone there to bleed because you just forgot to put their details in the computer. I could have died that day. And then she didn't even have the respect to call my husband to let him know that what happened. I called NEMS and I told him what happened, and he was beside himself. He was just so worried because the last message I sent was I was bleeding out and they'd forgotten about me. So, you know, going through losing a child and then having to go through that is awful, and I just hope no one else has to go through that. This could have all been avoided too, if that doctor just scanned me and then I could have just had the procedure done there. But instead, he chose not to. So after I left the hospital, I had to come back on at the end of the week for a scan, and that was really hard. Because the doctors had to check if there was anything left in there to be cleared out, just to be safe. But for me, it was the most difficult part was to see that there was no baby in there, because last time I had a scan there was a baby in there, so that was really difficult. And so after coming out of hospital, NEMS's mum, Bale, she flew from Australia to the UK straight away to be with us, just to be some support and and offer some help, because, you know, obviously mentally I wasn't right coming out of what just happened, and physically I was still healing. Like, I was very weak for like 2-3 weeks. I had to really get my energy back. I lost about 4 kilos, and yeah, so I just needed the help and support, and just having another family member there was just amazing. Like, just to have Nema there to help and to talk to, you know, to have some company, and, you know, she'd look after Ethan, and I was able to get out of the house, and it was good for my mental state, because, you know, being stuck cooped up in the house all the time, it's very hard, you know, especially when you're trying to heal from something. So it was very nice of her to come and help, and, you know, and spend time with us, and really help us and help me. So thank you, Nema. We love you. I love you, and I really appreciate everything you've done for us. So yeah, so it just shows it's really important to have family around. You know, it really makes a difference. But anyway, guys, just know that I'm doing well. I'm okay now, even though I was a bit emotional in that video. I am okay. You know, we've just got to celebrate, you know, baby's life that while he was in me, and just know that you know, this is not the end, and you're not alone, and you can always try again. And Nems and I are going to try at the end of the year, even though the thought of having to try again and go through the same thing is really hard, because I know other women, some women have been through more than one miscarriage, and you know, just going through the one was really hard for me. So I cannot imagine. So you know, but it's human nature, and that happens biologically. We can't help what happens inside of us. And yeah, but we're going to try to stay positive. We're going to try again, and we're going to grow our little family, and you know, and hopefully we'll be successful next time. So anyway, guys, thank you for tuning in, thank you for watching, and I really appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to my story today.